As the season continues to go on now, when this New York Rangers team just looks terrible. I mean, the performances that they keep putting up is really just depressing as a Rangers fan. I mean, you watch them play in these games, and for the most part there's a big, major lack of energy, of life, of fight, of physicality. There's just a lack of a lot of things that this team definitely needs to have to, be a true, Stanley Cup contending team and a team that can actually win a Stanley Cup. So in today's video, I figured we'd take a look and kind of talk about whether or not the New York Rangers should make a move, a big one, and fire their head coach, Peter Laviolette, because honestly, with the way things have been going, I think that question is going to be getting bigger and bigger and more important because, something has to happen here. This is a team who, whether you want to say they truly are, even like last season and stuff like that, a true Stanley Cup contender, that's up for debate. But, going into this season, I would say most NHL fans, most hockey fans of any team, whether it is the Rangers or another team, would have said that this Rangers squad on paper,
like happens in this business
definitely looks at least like just a playoff team. I'm not talking about
I thought the guys
a top tier team in the entire NHL. I'm just talking about bare minimum, about a playoff team. And from what we're seeing, over the last long while now, and unfortunately it has been a long while. It hasn't just been a few games, a few weeks. It's gone on for a long time now. This awful play really kind of looks and makes it seem like this Rangers team is not at all anywhere close to being a true Stanley Cup contender, which I think is definitely disappointing. And the fact that we are, continuing to get further and further and further away from the playoffs in that top three spot in the Metro, there's a pretty big gap there now between us and the top three teams in the Metro, and the gap between us and that top wildcard team and the second wildcard team, it continues to grow as well. So there definitely are some major concerns with this team, but not even just, competing for a Stanley Cup this season, which I think that is completely out the door. We're talking about whether or not we can actually make playoffs. So maybe it is the right move there to go out there and fire our head coach, Peter Laviolette, and try and see something, big kind of change there. And it definitely has happened in the past there. The Blues are a great example of that. I talked about that in a later video where, when they ended up winning their cup, back in the 2018-19 season, I believe at one point in January, I think it was, they were the worst team in the entire NHL. They ended up firing their head coach earlier on that season, Mike Yeo, in November. They fire him then, hire Craig Berube. They're the worst team in the NHL in January, and then turn things around and win the cup. So, like I said, there have been examples in the past of, firing a head coach and things completely working out for the best. But there are also other examples when, you fire a head coach and not a whole lot changes, not a whole lot else happens there, or maybe it happens for the worse. And I mean, there's not a whole lot worse this team can really get. I mean, what, are we not going to win another game for the whole season? Like, let's be honest here, things can't get too much worse for this team and kind of our initial kind of hopes and thoughts about this team, I think. So, with the way things have been going, this Rangers team needs a shakeup, and maybe it is the right move to fire head coach Peter Laviolette, but maybe it's not. And to me, is he the main problem? I don't necessarily think so, and I've talked about it in past videos as well as, I don't think he's the main reason and necessarily should be fired for, what's happened here. But at this point, with the way things have been going, we got rid of Jacob Trouba there. Obviously, we gave that massive extension to Igor, and it's been a little bit now. It's not like it's been, a month or two since that stuff's happened, but it's been a little bit now. The play has not seemingly changed much at all from what we've seen, since those big moves happened there. So I think, were those two moves ever going to completely fix his team? No, but you kind of did hope that maybe in the locker room, just the way things are feeling in there, the vibes that get going a little better and all that kind of stuff there would just kind of help turn this team in the right direction after, getting rid of a bad contract and a, negative player for the most part there in Jacob Trouba, you could say, and obviously getting rid of the captain, which he obviously was, and then you give Igor that massive contract. So now that kind of questions there about whether Igor's going to sign a new deal and how much it's going to be and all that kind of stuff there. You kind of hope that once those two things happen and that kind of brings away two issues in the locker room, that things can start to get going better and look a lot better, and the guys can get playing better and things get rolling. But unfortunately, that has not changed yet. And maybe it will over the next, few games or so. But I kind of doubt it, unfortunately. I don't think so. And with there really being not a whole lot of hope as a Rangers fan right now to see this kind of thing turn around here and get us back on track, especially in the very near future, I think maybe the move is to fire Laviolette. Now, like I said, I don't necessarily think he is, the main problem. And if we fire him, all our problems are going to be solved and all that kind of stuff there. But something has to happen here, right? I mean, we just have to see something happen. This team should not be near this bad. There have been some, major mistakes, sure, from, other, some certain players at moments, and maybe Chris Drury has made some big mistakes, absolutely. But just in general, I mean, this team should not be this bad. And with the way things are going, if they can keep continuing, which, like I said, I don't see why they're not, unfortunately, because nothing has changed. Nothing seems like it's going to necessarily change. And at this point, I don't think we're going to see a massive trade happen where we're trading for a superstar, mid-season here, especially a rental, which I think would be the worst idea possible at this point. So with us probably not looking to really be kind of buyers at this point right now, especially for rentals, and all that kind of stuff there to help turn things around, and, possibly with us being sellers potentially, which would be unfortunate, but might be the right, move for this team in the long-term future of this squad, going forward, if we are in the spot that we're kind of in now on the outside looking into the playoffs. Maybe the only kind of big move we can really make that's left in the chamber to pull the trigger on is to possibly fire Chris Drury or Laviolette, but I don't see Chris Drury getting fired mid-season. I don't see that happening, so maybe it is Laviolette that does get kind of kicked out the door there. Maybe that is what happened there, and he's kind of the scapegoat there, and all the blame's kind of put on him as he kind of goes out the door there being fired. I don't know exactly, but in my opinion, like I said, I definitely would not put most of the blame on Laviolette. Now, is he, definitely deserve some part of the blame? Absolutely. This team looks, they play with no energy, no life, no just kind of eagerness to win, no fight, no physicality. I mean, there are a lot of issues with this team and a lack of intensity and all that kind of stuff there. And some of that is definitely to the fault of Laviolette, I'm sure. But for the most part there, I would not blame, all this or most of it on him. I don't think he's the main issue. And I think he is a good coach. He's a guy who has been a pretty winning coach over his career, has made the NHL finals, the Stanley Cup finals with 3 different teams, winning the cup once there, losing it 2 other times. So he's, made the finals 3 different times in the NHL. He's won a Calder, Cup down there, won the championship in the AHL. So he is a winning coach at the pro level. He's got a lot of experience, and I think obviously he was a pretty good, coach last season. I think did a good job there with his team for the most part, helping us get all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals in his first season as, the head coach of the Rangers. So I think that was great there. But things really have taken a pretty big step back, unfortunately, this season, and it really does suck, because we got off to that good start there to begin this season, looking like a pretty good team, kind of, on par with my expectations for this squad, and then things obviously turn bad for the worse very, very quickly, and we're in this spot now where we're on the outside looking in of even the wild card, which is really just disappointing to say as a Rangers fan. So in my opinion, I don't think we should really necessarily fire Laviolette because I don't think he's necessarily all to blame or deserves most of the blame or should be the scapegoat for this kind of whole situation. But at the end of the day, I think that's what possibly will happen. And, maybe it is the right move to kind of happen because something big needs to change with this team. Trading away Trouba and giving that extension to Shesterkin clearly has not been enough. And, I never thought it would completely change everything, but you kind of hope that maybe it could help kind of turn things around a little bit at least. And so far, it has not. Anyways, I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, definitely hit that like and subscribe button for daily New York Rangers content. Also, don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on this whole situation. Who do you think should be fired? Should anyone be fired? Would you rather see, Chris Drury get fired? Laviolette get fired? Let me know your thoughts on this whole situation here and the New York Rangers as a whole, because as fans, I think I can say this for the most part of us, we're pretty disappointed here. We're kind of pissed off with the way the team's been playing, but hopefully they will turn it around at some point this season, although I definitely don't see us competing for the Cup, unfortunately, this season. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next one, and let's go Rangers.